Hello, beautiful beings, and welcome to the podcast episode of today. If you're watching the video of this, I'm actually standing on Pitt Street in Sydney because Shania and I are physically taking you through our vision boarding for the day. We were sitting at a cafe. We got like hectic into Pinterest. We've put Pinterest fucking photos into Canva, and now we're going to print them at beautiful Officeworks. Sorry for the hectic noises of the city with like chains and alarms, but follow us as we go into Officeworks and print some photos. I'm so excited. Welcome to Officeworks. Is it going to open? Oh. Okay, we're here. Everyone's looking at me like, oh my fucking God. If you're watching the video, you can understand. But if you're not watching the video, I'm so embarrassed right now. Get it. All right, we're going to the photo printing station. Oh, in Officeworks, I'm just browsing the aisles, doing a pirouette. We're going to the printing section and we're just going to find like the best way to print. We're thinking like big sheets of photos in Canva. We put like all the photos next to each other on sheets, and then we're going to print it out as big sheets, and then we're going to cut them up and stick them on like cardboard. We're doing 3 vision boards today. We're doing one for Shania's personal life, love so much, one for my personal life, and then we're doing one for like the business, the podcast, all of that. So you're going to get an insight into obviously our personal lives and what we want for next year, but also like a big insight into like the business for next year. I'm so excited. Stay tuned. We're just going to try printing our own photos here. I'm very technologically incompetent, so I'm also talking really quietly into the microphone because who on what planet is someone coming into Officeworks with a microphone? Bonjour, everyone. Okay, so we're trying to figure out what's going to be the best option. We're thinking 6 by 4 inches. They're 15 cents each. If that's not a bargain, I don't know what is a bargain. Update, we need to purchase a USB stick, dump the stuff on the stick, and then print it. So you just have to scan that code, and then she's selecting all the images, and then that should transfer it to this. Obsessed. Okay, so all the photos have come up, and it's quite intuitive because we have to pick if we've got to rotate it or not, but that one's already rotated itself. I think it's going to print magically. Oh, I'm so excited. So for like 58 photos is like $8.70, so it's technically free. We're technically getting paid to be here. So we are nearly finished with the photo printing, and that was the easiest thing in the world here at Officeworks. Also, this is not spon from Officeworks. However, Officeworks, if you're listening, you should sponsor me because we're out here singing your fucking praises. It's so fucking easy, isn't it, Shania? Anyway, we're finishing our selection. It just automatically knows what orientation the photos are. And voila, we are picking up the photos from the counter. We're severely mistaken. We need to scan these barcodes to print our images. I'm nervous. Scan barcode to start. That was fucking easy. Easy like a Sunday morning. In printer B. Oh my God, stop this behaviour immediately. This is hectic. We did get a warning saying that some of them would be very low resolution, but I'm willing to take the risk. We're getting 59 prints out of this order. Extreme behaviour here at Officeworks. 59 prints. Also, how shit is the lighting here? I one day got a fucking passport photo done with this lighting. Don't even talk to me. If anyone has full like glam photographers, I need to get my passport photo done soon, so yeah, it's not going to happen here. They're looking good. While we wait, I shall tell you a story of my childhood. Now I'm kind of stumped. I don't think I have a story from my childhood to tell. Okay, so that's printed off way more than I thought. Like when you physically have it, we've got the 3. We've got work, Shania, Alexis. Now we need some big ass cardboard and we need glue. We can't forget the glue. Oh, bonjour. It's not in here. It's definitely not in here. Black. I was thinking white, but now that I've seen black, black's going to pop. So we'll get... Do we just get 4 just in case? And if we've got a spare one, we'll just go life goals at the top in like a silver pen. Okay, perfect. 1, 4. Oh, that black is rich and thick. That's obsessed. We just need glue. You'd think the glue would be in this proximity, but no, you would be mistaken, just like we are. Where the fuck is the glue? Adhesive, stapling, sticky tape. This is like a flaw in the sorting. If stapling, sticky tape and sticky notes, you'd think glue. It's not following the theme and I'm stressing out. Calculators? No, surely not. Wait, cutting. Glue. See, I disagree with this sorting. I disagree. I do not agree. Officeworks, if you're listening, we need to chat. See, Velcro, it should be in this aisle. I need a meeting with the CEO immediately. Okay, I'm guessing blue stick, because that's what I used as a child. Do I get a Sudoku book? No, because I'll spend all my time doing Sudoku, so the answer is no. Oh, I just get so stressed when I see Sudoku books because I'm compelled to buy them, and then I never finish them. And it's cold. Oh, it's fresh. It's raining on us. I can't handle this. This is a rainy girl fake summer walk to the QVB. It's not bright summer. It's like plain Jane summer right now. Okay, we're going to go to the QVB. We're going to find a patch of space. We're going to sit down and do our vision boards, and all will be well in the world. Alpine car. That team is not winning the Formula One this year, unfortunately for them. Also heard that Alpine has gotten rid of the Renault engine and they're moving to a Mercedes engine, which blows my mind because Alpine was Renault. Like, why would they do that? It's just like, it's high treason or whatever the fucking saying is. We've arrived at the potential location for our vision boarding. The architecture is inspirational, so I feel like when inspired, you vision board better. Don't vision board in a dungeon, guys. It's not good for the soul. Talking about dungeons, when I was looking for a room to move into when I first moved back to Sydney and I had like $0.5 to my name, I literally inspected a room in Surrey Hills, if you know, you know, and it was a legitimate underground dungeon with a tiny little window. It was like underground and a tiny little window. It was enough room for one suitcase. The wardrobes weren't even mirrored, which says it all. So it made it even smaller. I swear to God, it smelled like mold, and it was $375 a week. And even now, that's cheap. But back then, I was like, what the fuck? And then I moved into this stunning bedroom with a balcony with like beautiful little street for $310. I know, those people were tapped and likely on crack cocaine selling it for that amount of money. But anyway, we survived. We lived to tell the tale. And, oh... That's so cute. But a lot busier than we anticipated. Shania, can you play the piano? No, oh. I was going to get Shania to do a cameo, but she cannot play the piano. Where can we go? Should we go one up again? So cute. We are at the Express Library, which we had no idea existed, but it is like this tiny fucking library in the middle of the CBD. But we found a desk. We tried to go into a cafe. We're like, is it so obnoxious to go into a cafe with like huge posters and like 45,000 printed out photos? So we're like, we are not that. So we're in this little tiny Express Library at Town Hall. I can't give you the address because I don't want to give it away because you could fit like 2.5 people in here. Anyway, we have a table and we are beginning with our mood. So we have these are all just place held here. I'm going to have to glue them down. But we've got a nice array of all different things. So for the vision board, I've decided to put in everything for the business for next year. So for example, I've got ideas for more merch, like mugs and different key rings and things like that, colorways that we're kind of leaning into. I've also got one of my favorite podcasters. She's French, Lena Mafouf. She's a fucking vibe, so I just want to channel her energy a bit. Her with a massive billboard, that will be me. I want to start doing retreats next year. Stay tuned. This is us just like, you know, packaging the merch and sending it out to people. Just me being a boss bitch with the podcast, just taking it to the fucking next level. How the office is going to look, I want to go heavy into like really cool vibes in the office. I really want to lean in and make it like a space that when I walk in, it's like, oh my fucking God. What else? I'm going to start doing supper club nights as part of like the podcast and the business and mindset recreation club. We're taking the podcast to Paris next year. We're taking the podcast to London next year. I'm saying this because we're doing it. And New York. We didn't have a photo of New York, so that looks like New York. And we also had some like live show photos, so we're going to have to print more and do a second one for like live show and things like that, because we're going to do heaps of live shows next year. So this is kind of where we're at. Oh, and Huberman. I really want to interview Huberman. And we also had like Stephen Bartlett, that that photo didn't print. So we're going to have to do a second board for more photos. But this is where we're at right now, and we're loving it so much. Oh, and socks. Definitely doing socks. So we have the finished product. Don't even talk to me. This is the best thing ever. I'm going to go through it properly when we're in the office, but... Okay, now we're going to work on our personal ones. So we're going to lay out Shania's personal mood board. Stay tuned.
Hello, guys. This is my cameo. First time on the pod.
First time on the pod.
So, pretty much, the energy going into 2025, it's giving clear skin, city vibes, beach, because I love going to Foster, beautiful beach. I'm going to move back to the city because I love that spot in the city. We're going to go to Europe.
Yes.
We love Paris, so we've included some Paris vibes. I would love to get a sausage dog, my favorite dog ever. Skincare, you know, we're coffee, like a coffee cafe, hopping, matchas, vinos, taking pics with friends, that kind of vibe. And then also loved, I'm like, I'm going to channel that energy this year, you know? Like, look how glam she looks. For those viewing the podcast. Yeah, I love it.
So we're back. As you've probably noticed, many things. Days have passed since the last vision boarding session, because then I had to go to the hairdresser. And anyway, long story short, we're now in the office and it's been about a week. My nails are gone, ripped them all off. And what also is gone, if you're watching the video, you will see that instead of the beautiful fluffy microphone cover, I have a dead cat on my microphone, but it's more like a dead rat because it's a lot smaller. I lost my microphone cover in Melbourne, didn't even use it. I just took it down there. I don't know why, but I had my microphone in Melbourne. I was only going for 3 days, and lo and behold, someone now is in possession of my microphone cover and I am not. Okay? So now I look like I'm just wielding a dildo around while trying. Anyway, let's just get straight into it. We're going to do my personal vision board. We're going to recap. This is my vision board. This is the business vision board. Dun, dun, dun. Beautiful. Then we've got Shania's vision board. Just as stunning. Lots of water. She's in her water era. Water and coffee. It's just coffee and water. Look at that. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Coffee, wine. It's just beverages and water. She knows what she wants. She's clear with her intentions. If the universe doesn't deliver that, then vision boarding doesn't work, okay? Cool, let's start with mine. Okay, so we've finished my personal vision board, and then we're going to put all vision boards up so Shania and I can look at them every day. But this is my personal one. We're going to go through it. So we've got, if you're watching, then obviously you can see this. You can imagine it so much more. We've got a lot of travel, as usual. So we've got, drinking wine clearly somewhere in Italy, I think. Paris, obviously. I really want to do a snow trip. I want to be jumping off a boat at some point next year. Water, Formula One. I want to go to a Formula One. Somebody get me to a Grand Prix.
Melbourne would be epic. Anywhere around the world, I don't care. If you've got hookups, like there's, I will do whatever it takes. Okay, so there's that. Again, more travel. I'd love to go to New York when it's cold. Doesn't have to be in the middle of Christmas, but I just would love to go when it's cold. Then we've got, I want to write, and this is the first time I'm announcing this, I want to write a fiction book, like a psychopath, okay, like a creative writer. What the fuck? So that's there. Australian Open. I already know I'm going, but I just thought I'd put it on there because, vibes. Romance, dancing with Tyrone every night. Just, we're in love, okay? Which we already are, but I'm just more of that, okay? Then she's so cool. I love her aesthetic. Love her so much. So we're more of her. Then we've got reading outdoors after swimming. We've got this beautiful energy. What is that? Lots of rom-coms. Cool aesthetic at home and in the office. I want to have dinner parties, lots of dinner parties. I want a projector and I want to be watching movies. I love her aesthetic. Vibes, good times. Lots of coffees, more kind of Nancy Meyers energy in the home. If you guys know Nancy Meyers films, all the rom-coms, everything that I love so much. So that is my year. I think I need to do a part 2 with another board because there's so much I want to do. But yeah, part of this episode is going to be me talking through kind of wrapping up the rest of the year and how to vision board and the importance of like visualization and vision boarding and how to do it. So just keep listening basically. Okay, so we are now here sitting on my couch on the DYFM beautiful, comfortable couch. And we're going to continue the episode from here. So we are talking about vision boarding, okay? And we're talking about vision boarding, and also you can't talk about vision boarding without talking about visualization. I have done an episode on kind of like the neuroscience of visualization, so I'll be touching on some of those topics from that episode that came out, I think like, I want to say a year ago, but anyway, we're going to be touching on some of those things, but I want to talk about how to vision board in a way that is not only going to be effective, but it's also going to feel really good. It's going to help you stay on track with your goals, with your new routines, with your new habits, because of how you are approaching things. And I'm going to explain why it's so important to have visual representations of those things, because why is it that like photos are so powerful when it comes to like your desires and your goals and things like that, and the image that it represents and all of the above. So let's talk about it. So the first thing I want to do is kind of go over the science of visualization. I'm going to kind of like talk about it. I'm going to talk about the different benefits that you get with visualization. Then we're going to talk about how to vision board, and then how to practice visualization with your vision board. Good times. Now, let's start with the first bit. So the first bit is the science of visualization. So how visualization works in general is that the brain, in certain aspects of how the brain operates, not in every aspect, obviously, but it sometimes in certain areas struggles to kind of differentiate between really vividly imagined experiences and real life events. And I think we can all relate to that in a sense when we have felt anxious, okay? With a lot of times when we feel anxious, there is no immediate real threat, but our body is behaving as if there is, okay? So that just gives you an insight into how we can imagine, put ourselves in the shoes of, imagine if you started thinking about something really sad, like my best friend Liv. She only just has to contemplate what it would be like with her dog dying, and she's sobbing like, oh my God, I can't even imagine what it would be like, okay? So often just imagining something, we're very good at imagining, and it can be so real that our body starts to really feel as if it is actually happening, okay? And that happens with good things, with anxiety, with funny things, when you're recalling events, when you're thinking about future events. The brain sometimes makes it so real that we actually experience those emotions in that moment, okay? When we visualize, we actually activate specific pathways within our brain that are strengthening our association with that thing, okay? Now, there's many different pathways in the brain that can be activated. One major one is all the motor pathways throughout the whole body. Now, I've spoken about this idea of like visual motor rehearsal, and there's good ways of doing it and not so good ways of doing it, but there's studies that have been done when people visualize practicing something, whether it's playing the piano or shooting a basketball through a hoop or, doing a dance pirouette, doing like a physical movement, the asterisk here is that you actually have to know how to perform that movement properly before you continue to then visualize and practice in your mind. But those who could do the movement properly, that then went on to actually just practice through visualization versus the group that practiced physically, you saw the same benefits or very, very similar benefits versus the control group that learned how to do the thing and then didn't do anything after. Okay. So through this visual motor rehearsal, again, like I said, you have to know how to actually do it. I can't sit here and visualize playing the piano amazingly if I don't actually know kind of the ground rules of how to actually play the piano and then sit on a piano and sit at a seat and be able to play the piano properly or do a pirouette or whatever. So there has to be a basic understanding of the foundations of that thing. But once you have that, to then rehearse and rehearse and rehearse in your mind actually starts to strengthen this visual motor kind of link within the body, okay? So you see visualization being strengthened in that way. But visualization or imagination or imagining as if is also really strong when it comes to your mental strength, your tenacity, your willpower, other things in life that are not necessarily physical. So imagining that you can process a difficult conversation a lot calmer instead of snapping. Say you're someone that always snaps and always gets really angry. If you can imagine yourself in that scenario, but visualize yourself deal with it in a completely different way, the more you visualize yourself doing that, you're going to notice that you can then start dealing with these situations a lot better. That's why journaling is so important, because it gets, especially in cognitive behavioral therapy, it all comes down to visualizing something as being different. So when you journal, one of the things in cognitive behavioral therapy is you'll be journaling how something went down, and then you will write how it could have gone down or how you could approach that thing differently. So for example, if you got into a scenario where you snapped and got really angry, you would journal about it, explain what you felt, what you were going through, and then you would journal what it could look like in the future. In the future, I could interpret it this way, I could do this, I could take a few breaths and this and that. And because you're imagining, then all of a sudden, that's how you approach it in the future. So really, really, really fucking interesting, okay? So that obviously this practice with physical, with emotional, with everything, it's going to enhance your confidence. It's going to reduce your stress. It's going to prime your brain to be prepared for things a whole lot better. Now, also, I've touched on this in the past, but I'll touch on it again. The role of the reticular activating system. So the RAS, it's basically filters incoming information based on its relevance to what you are priming yourself to be exposed to or to look for or whatever. So when you visualize something that you want from the perspective of already having it, from the perspective of it being realistic for you, you are actually more primed to be open to conversations about that thing, opportunities about that thing, putting yourself out there, going out on a limb, doing something that's probably more daring that you normally wouldn't be willing to do. You are actually priming yourself and you are more aware of things than if you're someone that says, I don't even want to imagine that thing for me because it's just not possible for me. It's not what so you just don't even, you shut that thing out. And then often when an opportunity presents itself, you might not even acknowledge it or see it as being an opportunity. You kind of might unintentionally let it pass you by, a conversation with someone, anything, okay? So the reticular activating system, once you start priming your brain prior to starting the day, getting out in the world of being like, this is what I'm focusing on, this is what I'm aware of, this is what I'm looking for, this is what I'm going to give my attention and my focus to, then you'll start to notice these things crop up for you really often because you're primed, you're ready to accept it, okay? And these things just align with your objectives and things like that. And then really important is how our body responds to emotionally charged memories, okay? So obviously, as we know, emotions make our memories much stronger and much easier to retrieve because they take up a bigger portion of our memory. They use our emotions. There's a lot. I've spoken about this. I think I spoke about it in many episodes, like dopamine, cortisol, all these things. But there's a lot of neurochemicals that are involved when there's an emotionally charged memory, good or bad. Okay. So if you had an emotionally significant event happen to you, right, you are more likely to not only remember that event, but remember the surrounding things about that event. Okay. So for example, if I am, and so you could also do this for visualization as well. If I just visualize, oh, yep, the Eiffel Tower, I want to go to Paris, cool, versus close my eyes, I imagine the Eiffel Tower. I've been there, so it's even easier for me to imagine. But even if you haven't been there, you can imagine what it would be like. The smells. What food? Have you brought some food with you? Have you this? Have you that? You start imagining, you start picturing, and then it becomes really real. It becomes emotional. You start bringing all the senses into it. And then the next time I think about visualizing a trip, I want to like make this trip happen for me. I'm going to make this a goal of mine. I'm going to put it on my vision board. The next time I think, oh, Eiffel Tower, I don't just think image of the Eiffel Tower next. I think, oh my God, that feeling, the smells, this, that, it's like it's quite charged. Okay. Now we all know what it feels like for a negative experience of how much you can like thinking of an event or something bad that happened. It can just raise instantly. Your heart rate goes up. You feel hot. You just don't feel good. And then you're anxious for hours. The same can go for the positive. Okay. So this emotionally charged memories, and I'm going to talk about why emotion is so important when you're doing your vision board and when you're trying to like plan things for your future. It's really, really important because it's what basically reinforces neural circuits for the good or for the bad. So we want to be using it for the good, obviously. So when you do this and when it's, positively charged and when it's like really reinforced, you actually start to feel like your goals are more achievable and are more realistic. And your perception determines your reality. Okay. So if I perceive something to be possible for me, I don't have to lie and say, oh my God, it's a definite, it's happening. I'm a millionaire today. I don't have to do that. I mean, I can, but I don't have to do that. It's just, I have to see it as being possible. If I see it as being possible, how I approach that thing or how I approach anything in my life is going to be very different to if I don't think something's possible or if I think something is highly unlikely. Okay. Now, just because something isn't happening in your life right now doesn't mean that it's not possible. Just because something hasn't happened for anyone in your circle or in your family doesn't mean it's not possible. You have to broaden your perspective of what is possible, but it still has to be possible for you. You can't be putting things on your vision board thinking this will never happen, but I'm still going to put it on my vision board as a goal that I want to achieve or something that I want to obtain in my life. Okay. Has to be possible. You have to see it as being possible. When you see something as being possible, the way you approach that thing is very different. Very different. Okay. Now, let's talk about the benefits of visualization in general. I'll kind of go over them quickly and then we'll get straight into the vision boarding. So the first one is your internal working model. So visualization actually helps reshape your core beliefs that are formed during your upbringing, during, difficult experiences, during difficult relationships, past trauma, good things, bad things. Visualization can actually help you reshape these deep-seated beliefs within you to help you have a healthier outlook in life. I've spoken about internal working model 1,000 times, and it is basically what you perceive yourself as capable of achieving and what you perceive the world to be like, whether it's good, bad, are there good people, bad people? Is it generally a good place? Is it generally a bad place? Okay. And that is established from a very young age. Okay. When you start to visualize and imagine things going differently for you, you start to interact with the world very differently. You start to get information that reinforces this positive interaction, and then you start to change your core beliefs around people, the world, everything. For example, if you've always got this negative idea about relationships, right? And you reinforcing, you're probably going to be primed, reticular activating system, to see negative relationships. Then you're going to be more walls up. I'm not going to be vulnerable. Then when people try and get close to you, like, don't fucking get close to me. Then they're leaving. You're like, see, everyone's fucking abandoning me, blah, blah, blah. But they're probably leaving because they can't break through, or they're not getting the intimate side of you. They're not getting like, you're not being warm. So they're like, oh, I'm not going to bother. This is probably a too hard basket. So it's not necessarily that they thought you were bad. They just thought this is not going to, they're not open to me. So I'm just going to, and then you're saying, see, proof. Versus if you were to turn it around being like, I'm going to start to look at really healthy examples of love. I'm going to fill my awareness with really healthy relationships in my awareness. The ones that are unhealthy, I'm going to acknowledge it and not dwell on it. I'm going to start to really you start to change your opinion. Then you start to meet people. And instead of instantly thinking, you're going to fuck me over, you're going to this, you start thinking, well, why not give them a chance? If they fuck me over, I'll survive. Let's talk. And then before you know it, you start to have healthier and healthier and healthier relationships. And then that starts to change your internal working model that not everyone is bad. Not all relationships are toxic. Not all this, that. And whatever. The second one, which I already spoke about, so I'm not going to go into it, but it benefits in this mental rehearsal. I spoke about that just before with like visual motor rehearsal, and then like familiarizing yourself with patterns within the brain. And the more you repeat it, the more it becomes concrete in your brain with this, the idea of neuroplasticity and how your brain can rewire itself and reorganize certain circuits as many times as it needs to. And then, of course, positive reinforcement. So when you start to believe that something is achievable, you can start with something small. You scale it however you want. But when something actually does happen for you, that's that positive reinforcement being like, wait a minute, this has happened and it's shown me that this is possible. So maybe this other thing, and then that starts to happen, that starts to happen. And before you know it, what your goals are now, they're probably going to be a lot bigger in 6 months versus 12 months versus, and it's not from the perspective of, oh, it's never going to be enough, but from the perspective of what I see myself being able to achieve is just growing and growing and growing. And my growth can be as infinite as I want it to be. Okay. Now let's talk about how to vision board. So let's talk about the crux of vision boarding, because you saw how I did my vision board, and mind you, I'm going to need to do like a few more posters because there's many things that I would like to continue including on that. But that was just an example. First thing, number one, is you want to create, this is how I vision board. You vision board however the fuck you want. But if you want to do it the Alexis way, this is how I recommend you do it. And I feel like how a lot of people recommend you do it. You want to have categories. So you don't want to do it all on one particular topic. You want it to look like it's a lifestyle. So for example, I did two. I did one that was for work, because obviously my work encompasses a lot of my life, because a lot of my work is also my passion. But for some people, work isn't their passion. So you don't want everything to be on work or just your passion. You want to have categories. So I did almost 2 separate vision boards, because there's so much that goes on in my work and a lot of my creativity that I thought, let's just dedicate one to that and then one to just my personal life outside of my career and my work. Okay. But you want to have career/work. You want to have a huge one is hobbies. Things that you want to do in your spare time, experiences that you want to have. So hobbies and experiences. So you can have that as 2 separate things. Another one that you want to have is everyday lifestyle. So what do you want your everyday to look like? Because it's all well and good to put on your vision board. Like I had a lot of travel on mine. It's all well and good to be like, I want to experience this. But when I'm home, I'm fucking hating my life. I hate my routine. I hate everything. I hate my job. I hate. So this is why it's important to look at your life as a holistic thing. I want to enjoy every day, right? I want to have more than just pockets, but many moments in my day where I'm experiencing joy. So I'm happy, but I'm also experiencing joy in these moments. So I was putting certain things like, I've had an image of 2 people dancing, like I'm having like a really, so separate to that, relationships. So on my vision board, I had, 2 people dancing, like Tyrone and I, being romantic and being very much in love and healthy relationships. I put, people chatting. I put, obviously trips together. I put like coffees, swims. I want to start doing more harbor swims and things like that. So things in your everyday life versus also big experiences that you want to have. And then work-wise, I was looking at, things that I'm already doing but expanding on it, and then things that I haven't yet done. And then I did like things that I know are 100% going to happen and are achievable, but I just want to see it through, so I'm putting it on the board. And then I've got things that are like best case scenario, I really want this to happen, but I don't really have total control over, but I'm just going to put it there because I'm working towards that, like wanting to interview Andrew Huberman. So there's, things that are directly in my control and things that I can kind of work towards, but might not ultimately be in my control. But you pick, basically, you decide what your categories are. But I had lifestyle. You can have like health in there as well. You can have physical, like just personal physical. So I put like people that have really cool fashion, and I'm like, I love that vibe. I want to like be morphing more into that style. I really enjoy it. Then you've got like career, you've got hobbies, lifestyle, and milestone events or like travel, things like that. So you choose whichever category applies to you. You can have as many as you want. Okay. And then once you understand what that category is, then you want to find photos. Pinterest is iconic for this. You want to find photos that really speak to you about that thing that you want to visualize. That an image is representing a feeling. So when you think of that, like when you've got that image, you want to imagine that you're living from the end, as in you are living from having already acquired that thing or experienced that thing. Okay. So in my vision board, I'm just looking at it, it's on the wall there. In my vision board, I'm looking at particular merch that I want to have. I'm looking at particular things with, the podcast that I want to do or how I want the office set up. So I'm imagining what that would look like from having already had it. And so when I've got that image, then I'm able to add more to it and I'm able to really experience the emotions of already having it. The photos on your vision board serve as an anchor that is related to all these emotions. So it's kind of this like anchoring thing that it's like every time I look at that photo, it brings me to this point where I already have all these thoughts, beliefs, and emotions that are tied to this. So if I have the image of the Eiffel Tower in mind, I'm like, oh, I already know that brings up everything I want to think of. I know it all, and I'm imagining it. I'm imagining myself being there. It's great. If I look at one of like someone with really cool style that I want to pick up, it's just one image, right? But in my mind, I'm like, oh, and I love this style and this and this and then whatever, okay? But think each image on that vision board has to be like almost like a doorway to all these positive thoughts, memories, and emotions, okay? Now, the next thing is that it should feel good to look at every single image. If the image represents lack, and I'm not saying that you're going to have a photo of something that's lacking, but if that image triggers emotions of lack, change the image. Get a different one. Or maybe, for example, so say if you're someone that's normally not been quite positive, not like the idea of vision boarding, and you put certain things up there that you've been trying to achieve for a long time, like images of certain achievements that you'd like to have or whatever, but when you look at it, you're like, oh, it doesn't feel like I'm going to achieve it. It just reminds me of how much I haven't achieved. It just reminds me that it's actually not that possible. It just pisses me off. Then don't put that image on there, because the image, like I said, just serves as an anchor for positive feelings around that topic to prime you to approach that topic differently, if that makes sense. You're trying to prime your brain. So if every time you look at that image you think, oh, lack, then it serves no use on that board. You either eliminate it altogether until you can have a better association with it, or you alter it a little bit differently. So for example, if I was to approach acting differently now, let's say I wanted to re-enter the acting industry with a new, fresh mindset. I was so associating acting with lack and with not getting the auditions, and every time I started and it represented something negative in my life. So then instead I changed it. I would change it to be like, all right, if the image of winning an award or the image of having a full-time, like a main role in a film is too unbelievable for me and then it's going to make me feel anxious, what image could I put? So then I would probably right now, as my scale, to scale it up to then eventually get to the bigger images, I would put things that make me remind myself how much the things I love about the acting industry. So I would be like, how can I rediscover my passion for it? Well, I used to love doing improv classes, so I'd probably do like a photo of like improv or people that I used to act with. I would be like, well, I really enjoyed doing, like, I'd just pick out the things that I enjoyed and I'd be like, I want more of this. I used to love like writing with my groups. And then I start thinking, okay, positive memories. I feel really good. Maybe I could do like a sketch. Maybe I could do this. And then when you start flowing the positive emotions, then you can start to scale it. However, if you're someone that has no negative representation and you want to go all out and you want to go large from the get-go, you're also completely welcome to do that. I'm only saying if the image makes you then feel this doesn't inspire me, this actually only reminds me of what I haven't had, that image does not belong there. So I want you to look at every single image, and every single image on that vision board should feel good to look at. You never want to avoid looking at that board. It should only ever feel warm, good. It should feel right. It should feel aligned, okay? And then another thing is that they all need to be, like I said earlier, it's got to be believable to you. It has to be realistic. It has to be something that you're like, I see that for me. Might not be happening right now, but I know it's possible. If one of those images in there is like, this would never happen, because visualization, manifesting, law of attraction, however you want to call it, that's all well and good. Only if you believe something is possible for you, because your perception determines your reality. Your perception is going to determine what your actions are. If something is not believable for me, my actions are going to be very fucking different. So it has to be realistic to you, which brings me to my next point of this vision board. You only share it if you want and if it's in a safe space. If you've got people that are judgmental, if you've got people that you know are going to laugh or tear it down, do not share it with them. Don't think, how do I justify this? How do I explain it? Just don't. You can make this can be the most private thing in your life. You don't want to open it up to have to explain why you want to achieve something, why you would like to have something in your life. Sometimes that cock blocks you even more. So if you'd rather just have it as this personal thing that it's you, yourself, and fucking you, that is fine. If you've got people that are like your absolute woo people, your cheerleaders being like, yeah, fuck yeah, we love this, and you feel comfortable, go for gold and share it with them. It's on a case-by-case basis, but if you're like, yeah, but no one's going to support me, people are going to laugh, then don't show anyone. Don't show anyone. This is your business. You share it or you don't, but do not open it up to people that are negative, going to be like, yeah, but that's never going to happen. And if you've got a partner who's like maybe more like, maybe they love you, but they're more like quote unquote realistic, as in like they don't look at expanding in other areas, then it's okay to not show them your vision board. You don't have to show anyone. This is what's going on in your mind and what you want for your future. And then people can just watch you grow and say, wow, how did they do it? Then you can turn around being like, I had my vision board. I had a clear idea of where I wanted to go. And because of that, I was strong on my intentions, strong on where I wanted to go. It was an anchor for me. It stopped me getting distracted. It stopped me fucking around. I knew exactly what I wanted. I didn't have to know exactly how to get there, but I knew what I wanted. It kept me on the path, and now I'm here. Okay? Now, let's go a little bit deeper. So how to practice visualization with your vision board. Okay, so when you've got your vision board, I also don't want it to only ever be background. It's fun, like I've got it up on my wall, so it's in my awareness, but I also want to intentionally spend some time, and it doesn't have to be every day, but often looking at the photos being like, yes, I'm reminding myself of my why. I'm reminding myself of why I do what I do, why I get up early every day, why I do these things. And it makes me excited. I've got things to look forward to. It makes me feel good when I'm working towards these things. I look at it and I think this is the lifestyle I'm living from. I'm acting as if, if my life was to be like this, and I imagined it being, this is my lifestyle, my relationships, everything, my career, how I feel going to work, how I feel in my body, my health, my energy, my sleep, all of that. I have to imagine what it would feel like. And when I imagine what it feels like, I know how good it feels. And when you have that as your like anchor, it's a lot easier for you to stay on track and on purpose with what you are doing. All the little things start to have more meaning, more importance, and the process starts becoming enjoyable because of that. So it's not that I'm going to slog it out because I've got to get to the end. You're still process driven, but there's more meaning behind your process now. You're like, I'm doing it because this matters to me. This is why why I get up early, because I get all of this out of it. I get to experience this. If you're very much only live day by day, then it feels really difficult to justify getting up when the alarm goes off and you don't want to, or justify going to that one workout when in reality it's just exercising in general over a period of time that's going to make you feel good, not that one workout. So it's about, how do I use this to help me stay on track, okay? So when you're doing it, I want you to make sure that you have at least some quiet time, couple of times a week, to go through it, where you're not being distracted, where there's not other shit going on, you're not on your phone, just to be with those images and really spend time in it. You're bringing up those positive emotions again. You're bringing up what it feels like to have it. You're priming, okay? Then you feel really good. If you can do it in the mornings, even better, because you prime yourself for the day. You're feeling good. You're like, yes, cunt, I'm fucking yes. And then you start the day, okay? For me, looking at things on my vision board in the morning at the start of the day does wonders for my mood. It changes how I work. It changes how I do everything in my life. The next one is, make sure that you are specific enough, okay? So you want to imagine like details of things. It doesn't some people say you've got to get it down to I don't think you've got to be so detailed that every single thing, but you've got to be specific enough. You can't be like, I want to travel more. Okay, cool. You just walk down the block. You've technically traveled. Like, where do you want to travel? Do you want to just do weekends away? Do you want to do a month away? Do you want to, like, what does your travel look like? When you travel, do you like backpacking, and do you want expensive, hectic hotels? What do you want to experience when you travel? Do you want to be partying? Are you a foodie? Just so get clearer on what it looks like, what it feels like. Say it's career, I want to make more money. How much money, or what's the minimum that you'd want to be making for you to be like, yes, I'm like hitting what's on my vision board? Let's get specific. I want to have more spare time, more free time. What does free time look like to you? And why do you want to have free time? What do you want to do in that time? And how much of that time? So you don't say, I want to be fitter, I want to be healthier. What are the markers? What are the tangible markers that you can measure? It's got to be measurable, because if you can't measure it, then you can't track it. So for every photo that you have, just say, is this specific enough, and could this be measured? So that's why, you don't have to go on the crazy details. I don't have to know the exact date that I'm going on this holiday and the time of the flight and this and that. Blah, blah, blah. I don't need to know that level of detail. But I do want to know where, what kind of thing it's going to be like, how much, how little. I've got to be able to measure it. What are the markers? If you want to say, I want to sleep better, what does that look like? I want to wake up feeling refreshed. I want to get 7 hours a day, a night. I want to have sleep hygiene before bed and do that consistently. I want to, you know what I mean, okay? Then you also want to keep it simple in your mind. I'm not saying that the goals have to be smaller, but like I mentioned before, simple in the sense of, yep, I can look at all of this and all of it feels good, all of it aligns. If one is like you're pushing against it, it doesn't feel real, you can just remove it for now. Less is more, okay? So you can have as much or as little, but if you're someone that feels conflicted, it just reminds me of all the times that I've failed, or it reminds me that I'm actually don't have that much money, whatever, strip it back. Strip it back until it feels good. Keep it simple. Keep it, yep, everything aligns with what I want. I feel good every time I look at it. Fine. And then you can start adding and adding and adding, because this vision board doesn't just have to be in, December. You build this whenever you want. You edit your vision board many, many times over in your life. Ideally, many times over in your life. Remember to focus on your emotions, right? So we're emphasizing this feeling of satisfaction or excitement, or feeling calm, feeling really settled, really enjoying like I've got things on there that like really represent a slower life, like really enjoying the slow moments, markets in the morning, like projected movies and like dinners with friends and things like that. But you want to remember that positive emotions are going to be strengthening, this experience that you're having, which then reinforces the ability to have that experience in real life, okay? And then I want you to practice in moderation, okay? It's not healthy to also fixate so intensely on the vision board that it's on your mind 24/7, 24/7, 24/7, because then that's preventing you from enjoying the moment that is the only thing you're ever going to really experience, which is the now, right? So the vision board serves as, for me, to keep me on track to the life that I want to be living, or to the life that I am living. A lot of my life that I'm living right now is thanks to vision boards and things that I've written down and whatever, most of it, okay? But having that idea of where I'm headed kind of keeps me on track, keeps me driven or motivated, or whatever word you want to use, okay? But at the same time, you have to allow for life to just unfold and allow for you to just naturally experience it. So what I like to do is have my time looking at the vision board, I'm looking at everything, and then I experience it, and then I almost actively think, now I'm releasing it. I'm letting it go. I'm releasing it, and then I'll revisit this another time. It's almost an active, like you imagine letting it go, so you free yourself from fixating, okay? And that's really, really, really important. If you do any visualization meditations, you'll often hear at the end of the meditation saying, now let it go. Let it go. You visualize what you want. You've thought about it. You've consolidated it in your mind. And now let's just enter the world and let's just do what we're going to do. Okay? Because if you're overly fixating, then you're going to struggle to actually start taking the action, taking the bold action, the soft action, all of that. Now, please go listen to my episode on soft action versus bold action, because it's, firstly, one of my favorites. It's iconic. But secondly, vision boarding is one of the best soft actions you can take, and it's really good. So soft action is basically indirect action towards a goal. They're both very important. But the bold action is where you're physically doing the thing, where you're going to that job interview, where you are actually reaching out, where you're making the phone call, where you're doing the work, where you're writing the book. Soft action is very much I'm going to look at jobs and see what's available. I'm going to go on Pinterest and look at things. I'm going to build my vision board. Soft action is very supportive of bold action, but make sure you've got a balance of both. You want both. You can't live in soft action because nothing's ever going to happen. But to only ever do bold action sometimes can feel like you're getting bogged down. So soft action is the inspirational, the emotional, the what makes you feel good, what elevates you, what keeps you in that nice light happy. And then the bold action is let's fucking take action. And you want a nice balance of the two. So go listen to the episode, but vision boarding is a beautiful use of soft action and it's fucking great for you. So yeah, that is the episode for today. I want you to start doing your vision boards, and if you want, just from like, I know I just said this whole thing of like, don't share it with anyone, if whatever, but if you want to share it even just with me, or if you want to share it so I can share it on the Self-Love Club anonymously, or because I've got on my Instagram at Alexis Fernandez Praxer, I've got a Self-Love Club broadcast channel. Very cool. Love you guys so much. I'm actually going to post something now because I haven't in a little bit. But that is kind of somewhere where we could potentially share people's vision boards anonymously, and so people can get an inspiration if you want. Like I said, if it's like, no, I don't want this getting shut down by anyone, whatever. But for me personally, for example, I shared my vision board with you guys because I know that everyone's just a fucking vibe and this is the best like group of people to share my vision board with. So it's on my episode. This episode, it was on my socials and stuff, and it makes me feel really good to share it, okay? But if you would like to share your vision board, either send it to me and then say, yes, you can share it on the broadcast channel, or this is just for your eyes only, Alexis. If you want to share it to the Facebook group and you're just here for it, then absolutely. Also, no haters on anyone's vision board. I will delete the comment if there's a hater on the vision board. But yeah, please, if you want to, and if you want to inspire other beans in the group, I would love for you to share it if you feel comfortable doing so. But again, like I said, this is your fucking vision board. If you want it for your eyes only, then have it for your eyes only. If you think that something in there feels good to you but embarrassing in front of other people, don't share it. Don't share it, okay? You keep it to yourself. It's whatever feels good for you. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I hope you're feeling fucking fired up and inspired and like ready to party. That is all for today. Love you guys so much. As always, remember, be kind to yourself, be kind to your brain. Don't take shit from anyone, and especially don't take shit from yourself. Danke.